Hello everyone, welcome to the Nottaku Podcast. I actually did an introduction this time.
Now you sound too enthusiastic.
Am I not allowed to sound enthusiastic?
That one Fate subscriber is going to be real fucking concerned that you're putting on a face.
Yeah,
Whoever you are, wherever you are, I really judge your taste.
yeah, because it turns out someone's actually listening to us and commenting on our videos. Who would have thought it?
Hello everyone, I'm Lewis, the podcast equivalent of fucking, what's the Carnival Phantasm, the parody that everyone wishes was made more than the original.
I'm Hugh, I'm the podcast equivalent of a live-action adaptation of Sword Art Online.
Fuck, that's what I was going to say.
Just, God, why? What, Joe? You can still run yours. Yours might be better.
No, that was actually what I was going to say.
Well, there we go then. Then I've stolen it from you. You should have been quick.
I'm the podcast equivalent of, well...
Log Horizon, because he steals everything.
Yay.
He's the podcast equivalent of Log Horizon. It's got a really good opening, but no one really remembers him beyond that.
He's the log.
And my writer's gone to prison for tax.
Yes, he has.
I was gonna say he's the podcast equivalent of Stanley's Hero Man. He's only half Japanese.
He's only half Japanese, and everyone's only heard of him after he died.
Oh dear.
Ouch.
Ben, introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh no, it's your boy Ben. I'm the podcast equivalent of my sister, my writer, because I'm shit, put zero effort into anything, and don't get paid for it.
Damn.
I was actually.
Can we quickly get a screen cap of my sister, my writer there? Literally
There's got to be one per episode.
Literally any.
I will find one.
Man, I was pretty pleased with that because as soon as Hugh came out with his regular podcast intro there, I was like, oh fuck! I was talking yesterday about how I actually put effort and think of one, and I didn't.
I'd like to point out I might have started this, but Lewis is the one that continues it. Every time we ever say I'm the podcast equivalent of, Lewis is the one that starts that now. I just started the trend. I didn't.
Anyway,
and I'm Alastair. I'm the host of this thing, which basically means I don't need to put the effort in and think of one of those.
Mate,
quite correct.
Mate, we all have access to this Discord server.
So,
and I think we just won the award for longest intro ever to anything.
Yeah, so today, everyone, as you can no doubt tell by the lack of any direction, this is like a normal podcast now. As you can no doubt tell, we think our opinions are worth some money, if I'm being honest. It's worth money. It's worth that sweet advertising dollar. And so consequently, we're going to talk to you.
Nottaku.
So like, subscribe, hit the bell. And basically, we're going to talk.
Open your cold ones, boys.
I've already opened up my Thatchers, and basically we're going to sit here and talk pleasantly for 2 hours. And if you want to listen in, inevitably one of us from the future, you're more than welcome to do so. So let's start off.
Yes,
how long do you think
news.
it's going to be? How long do you think it's going to be before Star Wars does Stan Lee's face in CGI? As a cameo. Here's a Marvel
I am convinced we're going to get a CGI Stan Lee within the next 5 years.
No.
What I think they're going to do is every Stan Lee cameo that they're going to now on is actually just going to be Deadpool in a shit disguise.
That's a good idea. That's actually a really good idea.
Or just start reusing cameos. Just like really badly insert.
No, I like the Deadpool idea.
They've already filmed so many into the future already, though.
They filmed all of the ones up until at least Infinity War Part 2. But this is an anime, guys. Why are we talking about this?
Sorry, guys. Speaking of people who probably shouldn't be there, there's a live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop coming up.
Netflix does a thing.
Wait. I'm sorry. Wait. Live-action adaptations that exist.
As far as you're concerned, mate.
Well, there's no point in them existing, so you might as well not acknowledge their existence.
You've seen Death Note?
Oh god. Gantz was good, and you know it.
What? You mean pen, pineapple, apple, pen? No, okay.
Gantz was good.
Gantz was good. That's about it.
Death Note is a pile of shit, and I fucking love it for it.
Death Note tried, and Death Note
not in my mind, it didn't.
Well, I think Death Note tried. However, it tried in the wrong room, in the wrong building, on the wrong continent. So it walks into the interview room, talks a really, really good game, and goes, "And that's why you should hire me for your gaming company." At which point, it turns around and he's sat just opposite a bunch of people for a CEO board meeting, going, "We sell crisps." Just different place, wrong time, and I think the problem is I don't have faith in Netflix. I know they've only done one in terms of anime live-action adaptations, but it wasn't good. With the exception of one thing, we can all at least agree that Willem Dafoe's Ryuk was really good. That was good casting.
It was amazing. It was very good casting.
Really good casting.
That's grand and all, but like I don't know,
it didn't make the movie any less of a story.
None of us are going to disagree with that. I think my only issue with those caveats is the fact that like you could genuinely have cast Willem Dafoe as a shoe, and he would have been great in that film. Like
Right.
just any pick a shoe. But like
that one.
that one there, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Lewis.
No, sorry, buddy. They're like, we've even got a podcast technique now where we don't interrupt each other. I like that. But my only point was going to be, it's like fucking whoa! That Death Note scream is the best part of that film.
Oh, that's
him screaming.
Like, why would you keep that take? Why would you keep that take?
Because it sounded funny.
Watch me kill this guy. Oh, you creaming from the pussy.
Yeah,
that was a bit.
That was a lie.
Right,
Yeah.
but anyway, that live action was trying to adapt something that was A, Eastern to B, Western, and they tried to do it in an hour and a half. Nope, no luck. Fucking try again next time. Like, I don't.
Tried to make it.
There's a reason all these things were made in an animated medium in the first place.
Well, Death Note wasn't. But there we go.
No, but this is where I make my thesis, because I don't think there's anything that's preventing a Cowboy Bebop adaptation from being good, because there's nothing inherently about Cowboy Bebop that favors it as an animated program, apart from maybe the best bit in the show, which is Battle of Fallen Angels.
Oh no, yeah.
So, like, it would not be as good as the anime bit, because the animation lifts it, because everything looks like flowing water. And unless you literally got fucking Bruce Lee in, because, you know, that's what Spike Spiegel's fighting style is based off of, you will never get that grace and beauty. On the other hand, however, you can make do. I mean, Cowboy Bebop's, you know, is just an interesting world, really.
It's a space show that isn't really set in space a lot of the time. They come down to planets and just kind of do stuff on planets. And actually, I think a Cowboy Bebop live action could work if they don't do an overarching storyline like the anime kind of had. What they need to do, if you're going to do a live action Cowboy Bebop TV, I don't know if they've confirmed it's going to be a TV series or a movie. Does anyone actually know?
It'd be live action series, so
because if it's a series, thank you, Ben. Because if it's a series, I've got a bit more faith in that as being a series. Because what you can then do is you can have a 40 to 50 to 60 minute shot where actually do what they do in the anime, where there's a bounty or a problem. Thank you. That's going to be better than the movie, because it means you can have they go down to a planet or they're on a space station. They've got a bounty. They collect it. They go. We can have those nice little snippets, maybe a little overarching plot, so maybe we can introduce a character in the first episode that keeps maybe turning up, and that can kind of lead us to maybe a 2-episode finale. But at the end of the day...
do it almost like the anime did.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, I think you need... For these sorts of adaptions, I think you need a cast and a crew that knows the original source material and kind of like why fans like it and are fans themselves. And I think one of the big problems that the Death Note adaptation had is I think because it was the first big thing that Netflix did in terms of live action anime, they got people that had done some films in the past who might have maybe seen Death Note or maybe had heard of it, but weren't really too fussed.
Yeah.
And
that's like the Dragon Ball Evolution movie. It was just a guy who had no idea what any of the source material was meant to be about. I mean, maybe he he maybe read the characters' names or something. But that was about it.
Yeah, which
didn't even show up.
No, good. He was kept out of it.
Yep. He was kept safe.
It's like the last Airbender with M. Night Shyamalan. I still obviously it's not an anime, but unless you consider it 2D.
We're not going to start that argument. It's a good show.
I'm not good at that. But the question is, like, I don't know whether or not M. Night Shyamalan watched that show before he signed up to the movie, or whether or not he was given a plot synopsis and he went,
go.
yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Hang on.
No, please finish your point.
Well, no, I was just saying this: that you essentially need a crew. I feel a crew, a director, a writer, and I'd almost argue maybe some actors, not all of them, but some, who are aware of it. And I essentially think, as well as that, you need to do one of two things. You need to do two things with live action actions. This is literally anything. Number one, understand where to be faithful to the adaptation and where to do your own thing. Because if you are too faithful,
you'll be compared to it too much.
You end up doing what the
you fuck it up.
You end up doing what the live action Fullmetal Alchemist did, where it just picked all of the best scenes and then didn't really care about the story. And number two, I'd argue that big, really popular shows aren't the ones to do this with. I'd argue you do it with the smaller ones that need a second chance.
See, I disagree. I think there's no reason why you cannot adapt a big show.
Yeah,
I think it's because people try to have their cake and eat it. I think is where most of the problems come from. Because, just a quick example, Hugh. What is an example you'd think of? Think about it, because I want to put you on the spot of a show that you think deserves a second shot and could be adapted elsewhere. Because I don't think there is anything preventing anything from being adapted to anything, really. There are some exceptions, I'll absolutely grant that. Like, for example, there are some things where it just works as a book and some things where it doesn't. It requires careful thought. But for something like Cowboy Bebop, I really have got actually a fair bit of faith in this. I'm not optimistic, because, fucking it's me. But, I've got faith in the fact that this is adaptable purely because I'm going to go back on my earlier answer. Cowboy Bebop isn't even an interesting world. It's a really inconsistent world. Like, if you fucking remember the episode where there's an immortal fucking harmonica player and he dies when he gets shot with a bit of moon? Like, what the fuck? No,
it's weird.
That show has got zero internal consistency. What it boils down to is a globetrotting bounty hunting adventure where guy has got past in gang and cannot face up to past.
Exactly.
It's Jesus Christ! It's a western. It's a western in space. Yeah. You can adapt westerns in space. There's no reason why you can't.
Oh, no, easy. Well, we've seen westerns in space easily.
How they will fuck it up is they won't understand the tone, which is first part, and secondly, the characters. Okay, and that'll be how they fuck it up because the tone required because it was a 25 episode series, and the thing is, it took 5 episodes for the air quotes plot to even start. Battle of Fallen Angels is where we first meet Vicious, who is the closest thing to an antagonist this show has, apart from time itself. And if it takes 5 episodes out of 25 to introduce your villain, you are not going for a traditional story structure. You're going for a tone where you're going for that slow boil, which means that they're going to fuck it up because they're going to blow their load. They're not going to wait 5 episodes. They're going to introduce Vicious after the first...
Maybe second episode?
Second episode if we're lucky, or you know what they're going to do? They're going to do a cliffhanger on episode 1 where, you see you're going to cry tears of blood. Vicious dead. And then I'll be like, oh my god, Vicious is coming. It's like, no! It spent 4 episodes showing you how batshit this world was, where it's a world where a fucking super smart dog can get kidnapped by a giant black guy and then he gets gunned to death by a bunch of people from a moon, or it's a world where people get turned to monkeys by a virus because a bunch of people want to save the fucking sea fucking creatures of some particular planet. It's mental and it's tonally not compromised, but it's so tonally slow boil, and it demands your attention. They're going to fuck it up by rushing it. That's what they're going to do.
I can agree with that. I feel that's probably one of the big things they can do. But I feel one of the things about adaptations is a lot of adaptations, be this manga, film, live action, TV series, whatever. I feel the anime community. I'm gonna say something a little bit controversial to the 4 people that are watching, because it's now 4, not 3. Is a lot of the anime community, and it's Western a lot of the time, are a bit too hung up on the concept of a live action adaptation or an adaptation being faithful. Really hung up on that fact. The idea that if it's not faithful, if it's not doing exactly what the source material did at every single point, then it's not doing it correctly. And I'd argue the problem is a lot of people don't realise that that's one of the big issues live-action adaptations have. And I agree with you. They need to figure out the tone. I think the tone is the number one thing that adaptations need to figure out. The Death Note movie forgot the tone of the Death Note anime and the
Death Note movie
manga.
tried to alter the tone for a Western audience.
Yeah, and unfortunately
And it didn't work because the Western audience went, this is fucking dumb.
Because the Western audience appreciated the tone of Death Note, which is, I'm not going to get
a bit complete absurd.
Well, because it's absurd, but the thing is, it's like, again, it's trying to categorize a global audience by saying Japanese people watch things like this, American people watch things like this. Yeah, you got storytelling and narrative structure, but fuck you. Like, we like Japanese shit. Like, you're adapting an anime. Are you actually a retard? Do you really have that little faith in your anime watching audience who've already demonstrated they are happy to watch Eastern material?
Oh no, I agree.
I do have a feeling though that when they're making these live action adaptations of these things, when they do it, they're going like, how can we make people who aren't fans of anime watch the same story?
No. That's exactly what they're doing.
That's why
because...
they changed the tone of the thing, because they're going like, no, we're trying to make more than just anime fans watch this, but in doing so, they're basically making the anime fan base
alienating everything.
Well, I think the issue is, like you say, Alastair, that is completely what they're trying to do. However, by doing that, they forget what made it good in the first place, and as a result, the people that would have watched it don't want to watch it, and the people that they're trying to get to watch it hear it's not very good and decide not to watch it.
Going bland and broad never works. See also Fallout 76.
Yeah, like Jack of all trades, master of none, sort of thing.
Whereas I wish Death Note had a bug where it deleted itself.
That'd be good. Isn't that basically the Death Note?
Oh yeah.
If you write Death Note, that work?
If you write, some say if you write Willem Dafoe in the Death Note, only his fucking 12-inch schlong will remain.
Delete this.
Are we getting a second Death Note movie as well? Haven't they confirmed that the second?
They confirmed the second movie.
Magic!
Why? Well, here you go. Does it deserve the second chance, guys?
No.
I don't like it, but I'll watch it.
A sequel to that? No, it's hot garbage.
I've watched the Death Note movie more than a fair few movies that I actually like, simply because I love getting drunk and just.
I was gonna say the Neil Breen factor.
Yes, the Neil Breen factor.
It's so bad that it's good.
Which definitely sounds like a movie he'd make.
Yeah. I would be so happy if Netflix came out and when we've greenlit the second Death Note movie and we've got guest directors Neil Breen and Tommy Wiseau to get this
criminal in all of modern Japan.
Oh god.
My internet died for
It's known as a Death Note. I'm gonna become the new god of this world. Oh my god, it actually does fit a Neil Breen plotline.
It does fit a Neil Breen plotline. This is not what I intended for your species.
Oh god.
Well, this has now become cursed content.
Internet's dying.
Yes!
Oh. Well.
Right.
I mean, along with, unless anybody else has anything to say on the subject, there is more news about Netflix that we could move on to. But
I was going to enjoy the nice topic of speaking of live adaptations. A perfect example of the point that Alastair made of them trying to pander to non-anime fans to get them into the stuff is the Japanese live action that is on Crunchyroll of Future Diary.
Wait, there's a live-action adaptation of Future Diary on Crunchyroll?
Mate, it is.
I am going.
I'm looking this up now.
Oh, can we do a live watch of that as like a commentary track?
Mate, right, so they alter most of the characters. Like, next to none of them are the same. There's
Except
some bullshit cyber plot line about going into, some nanoverse.
The Matrix from Shadowrun.
They have to enter these machines to get inside of, and then they go inside of people's brains, like some sort of fucking Satoshi Kon mindfuck. Then there's one of the characters is a detective who constantly wears a trench coat and always has one hand in his pocket, pulling the trench coat to one side, no matter what position he's in or what he's doing. And the guy that organizes the whole thing just owns a phone company, and so he just made the phone.
It's not God. It's
the
just
diary on, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna win!"
It took me an alarming amount of time though, because my internet's on the fucking fritz to work out whether you were talking about a Neil Breen movie or Altered Carbon.
No, we're talking about the weird sci-fi drama adaptation of Future Diary, the Japanese live-action version.
Yes, I remember this one actually. Yeah, no, I remember.
I've just read the synopsis of this thing. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I remember us talking about it when we were drunk once, because that's the way that works.
Yeah, pretty
I need
much.
to watch this. I need to.
But anyway, so just to get a yes or a no from everyone going around the podcast, do we think Cowboy Bebop, the live adaptation, will be not mediocre? Yes or no?
I think it will be fine. It'll be middling.
Middling.
That's mediocre.
It'll be
Benny
middling.
boy.
No, I don't think it's necessarily going to be good, because I don't think, as you say, you can ever get any actor that can properly relive and
Move like flowing
make
water.
those characters be what they are supposed to be. I think it might have the possibility of being a decent thing in its own right, but I don't think it will be a good Cowboy Bebop.
It will be a good spaghetti western space in spite of being an adaptation of
It
Cowboy
might
Bebop.
be a good Space Dandy live action.
It'll be good space and live action in spite of being an adaptation of Cowboy Bebop.
True.
Yeah.
Now, on to the next live action anime.
The thing is, I actually feel like there's a live action version
Apparently
of Cowboy
no
Bebop
Hugh
that kind of already exists and that is really, really good. It's called Firefly.
Oh, fuck off. That meme died a long time ago.
Just
Like
like
Firefly.
I'm not even I wasn't even going to make that joke just because I think the Firefly fan is fucking pathetic. Sorry, who said well. Anyway.
So, on to the next live action anime thing, Detective Pikachu.
Yes!
Oh god.
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be great.
I'm looking forward to it. I like the style. A lot of people don't. I get why they don't. It's really fucking eerie. Mr. Mime will rape you.
I can't tell what they fucking want from it. I really can't
That,
tell.
I will
Whether
admit,
it's
I
a
entirely
comedy,
support you
whether
on
it's
that.
Serious, whether it's supposed to be a fun kids thing, whether it's supposed to be a
Yeah.
Deadpool-esque adaptation, whether it's supposed to be a grittier version but still serious, or whether it's just a more, Western friendly adaptation.
I
have
am with you
zero
there.
idea. I have
Why
zero
would they need a more
fucking clue.
Western-friendly adaptation when Pokemon is beloved everywhere by children in the West?
Oh, right, on
Because
Pokemon.
of
I
the
said
exact-
that.
but that almost-
not wanting to watch cartoons.
But that almost leads into the question of, like, what audience is this fucking thing for? Because I think it's very...
Everyone.
I
Well,
watched
but
the
it's
trailer.
not! But it's
It's not!
No,
not.
I watched.
It's
I watched the
Pokemon. It's one of
trailer.
the world's. It's one.
Yeah, but
it's
Detective
Pokemon. It's one of the biggest
I
intellectual properties in the world. It's terrifying to watch the trailer. I agree with you, Ben. But it's for everyone. It's literally, if you say Pokemon to a wide market, if you go into a room of 100 people and say the word Pokemon, 90 people in that room will know what you're talking about.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that they made this adaptation, and the whole reason behind it, and the whole pitch in the boardroom was Deadpool.
Yes.
So when what is one of the biggest selling movies and most popular things that people love, people have gotten super into, even those that don't like the other types of movies of that style. What is everyone loving, and it's getting all of the other people out and into this style. Oh, Deadpool! It's a massive. It's just a massive movie that a lot of people can enjoy and has got a lot of people interested. Well, how about we make a Pokemon-esque Deadpool movie? And they went, how do we do that? Well, how about we make Pikachu wisecracking and
We get Deadpool.
and a detective with a mouth. Oh, even better, how about we actually get Ryan Reynolds Deadpool to do this?
And everyone was like, does that sound alright? And everyone was like, yeah, I'll probably
Because
sell.
I'm not going to lie, if you close your eyes and you listen to the trailer, it sounds like a Deadpool trailer with less dirty jokes.
You see, I think it's more along the lines of someone sat down and went, right, we've got the rights to do a Pokemon movie. And they went, all right, that's pretty cool. A lot of people like Pokemon. That's going to be expensive, though, isn't it? Yeah, because what's Pokemon about? Well, Pokemon's mainly about, creatures fighting each other with, fire and electricity and water and all that. And that sounds pretty expensive.
Oh, no, the CGI budget!
Yeah, That sounds really, really expensive.
It's going to Mr. Mime's penis.
Oh no, I'm being hacked by bad.
Yeah, but it's like that sounds really, really expensive. There's this recent one that's just come out. Oh, what's that about? Oh, it's about Pikachu. Oh, that's the one that everyone knows. Yeah, it is. And they're a detective, all right, and they wear a hat. Oh, that's pretty cute. And as a result, we can do a murder mystery or whatever. Well, let's not make it a murder mystery. This is for children. All right, fine, a missing persons mystery. And we don't really have to have fights. Well, we're going to have one fight. All right, we'll have one fight, but the rest of it we'll just spend on, I don't know, Mr. Mime or something like that. Okay, I'm in for this. And who's going to voice it? Deadpool. Ah, good.
I think
that's where the CGI budget went, honestly.
I still think, yeah, it probably went on Ryan Reynolds. But I reckon Ryan Reynolds was more than happy to work on this project.
Oh no, I think Ryan Reynolds is game. He's a game boy.
But I genuinely think they made this intending to aim it at the same style that Deadpool was aimed at, because they know that is what is selling movies at the moment. That is what people want to go and see, and that will attract a lot of people.
Well, let's be honest here as well.
And comedy, and I don't think. I think I've already summarised up enough my thoughts on like their process behind it. Of genuinely, if you close your eyes and watch it, you will think you are watching a less dirty Deadpool trailer.
It's aimed at that same sort of like liberal millennial. You know, you'll get this joke kind of.
Yeah, but it's certainly. I don't think, and feel free to disagree with me, but I don't think this is aimed at kids.
I think the primary audience is kids, because I think
it's aimed at the people that grew up with Pokemon.
Kind of. I think it's also aimed at kids, because I think Pokemon is still massive, and I think as much as the ERB or whatever don't want it, Deadpool is still watched by children.
Oh yeah,
kids still watch Deadpool. So even if you're aiming this at the Deadpool audience, it means you're still aiming it at some kids. I think this is aimed.
No, but
I genuinely think this thing is trying to aim itself at anyone between the ages of about 4 up to 30.
Yeah,
I think it's aiming at
traumatize a 4-year-old though.
I think you're right, because let's be honest. Like, I mean, it's a little while back now, but if you cast back to when the first Deadpool film actually came out, there were so many people raging at the fact that their kids couldn't go see it because it was a 15, was it? I think
15 or R-rated. If you're
when they wanted it to be 12.
And of course, the kids want to go see their Marvel movie.
Yeah,
and it was a funny, wisecracking Marvel movie, and so of course they wanted to go see it.
Yeah, but I think.
No, because it had swearing in it, Ben, and swearing's cool.
I mean,
is Detective Pikachu the Fortnite of anime?
Oh god!
Oh please no!
I mean,
what?
I think
it's not free, Ben, so it can't be.
I think this is going to be good. I think Detective Pikachu is going to be a good.
Oh, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I
don't think it'll be amazing, but I think it'll be good.
I think it's got the potential to be a pretty solid movie, and I think it likely will turn out to be a good one because I think they've got the right formula going into it. I just hope they know what they're actually aiming for out of it, because at the moment it sure the fuck don't look like it.
I think one of the things that I do say, I will admit the trailer made me laugh on multiple occasions. And I think that's a good sign, because I've seen
me laugh, yeah.
I see a lot of comedy movies that they put the trailer out, and actually the trailer doesn't make me laugh. But actually, there's 2 moments in that trailer that really, really got me. Number one is when they're walking down like the market, and Pikachu's just like, I was about to say Ryan Reynolds, and that just proves how Ryan Reynoldsy that character is. Where it's just like Pikachu's just like, I've been trying to tell people for years, but all they hear is Pika Pika, and he goes, excuse me, Mom. Can you hear him? And he just, can you understand? He just hung at Pikachu, who just immediately just goes, Pika Pika. And I'm like, okay, that's a good gag. Because it establishes character, and it's also just funny, because everybody else thinks that character's insane. And number 2 is the bit where they're interviewing Mr. Mime, and he's doing all the mimes, and it's just pushing, shoving. I push people away, and then I hate them for leaving. I think he's telling you can shove it. And I'm like, that's a really adult joke.
Which is why I think it's more aimed at Deadpool audience.
I suppose.
No, see,
I can somewhat see that.
No, because then you're doing the Disney thing of just there's adult jokes in your kids' show.
But then why would they put it in the trailer?
Exactly.
Because they can.
Exactly.
That's a good
It's like-
point. I think I mean it both.
All the
It's
shows
both.
that have this sort of stuff, like SpongeBob, had so many dirty jokes in it.
I
Like,
hope
all
that's
the
your nose.
all the shows that have that sort of joke and settings in it, they never advertise it like that because it
No.
is still the kids'
kids.
show, and that's just there for the parents that are along with the ride. Because let's be honest, the kids are going to go with their parents, and so the they're just in there to keep the parents entertained and enjoying. But this seems to specifically have the jokes and the things to target those people. It's got those sort of jokes that would make a parent go, "I'm taking my kid," not make them go, "I'm taking my kid to see this." They would go, "I want to see this. I'm going to see it. Oh, my
Yeah.
kid does too. I guess I'll go with them."
I mean,
Whereas they would go and see it themselves anyway.
is this potentially just a new form of advertisement for films? Are we realizing that actually the kids' film is no longer the kids' film? Because a couple of weeks
Are
ago,
you saying it's just a means for us to escape our depressing lives and
I
go back to a happier time?
I think it's more along the lines of, dude, kids don't go to the movies on their own. Kids go with parents and others, and the ones that go on their own are others. So I went and saw a couple of weeks ago Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Where to Find Grindelwald or whatever.
I haven't seen that. Me too. Aaron.
I went and saw that. I'm aware. I'm just messing around. Where are they? They're in the case. I went and saw that, and it's a 12, but it's a Harry Potter movie. And you think, Harry Potter, that's going to be a sort of thing that's for kids. But the Harry Potter base isn't kids.
They've grown up.
They've grown up, and B, the people that are in that audience around me, I think I was one of the youngest in there. And I was in, there were families in there, but I still think I was one of the youngest in there. And I think potentially films nowadays, and be them a kids' film or not, are advertising themselves, or at least have to advertise themselves, as for being for older audiences, because if not, people are less likely to want to go and see them. Disney have got the Disney whole aspect, so of course they're going to go in for that. But for other films, they've got to try and push and say, you can go and see this film without your kids if you want to as well.
I think it depends on what the film is based on, because it depends whether you're doing something off an IP that's been around for a while or creating a new IP. The thing is, like with Harry Potter and Pokemon and all of that sort of stuff, all of that stuff has been around when. Let me just use Harry Potter as an example. Harry Potter
90s,
is our generation growing up. That's what Harry Potter
Yeah.
is. Harry
We grew
Potter.
up with the
I was
characters,
11 when Harry was 11. So when you get these things, obviously
What are
the
you?
newer movies are based off.
No, because the final book came out when we were 11. And I know you're older than me, but it's not that much older.
The movies, mate.
Movies.
Not the
Oh,
books,
movies.
the
Talking
movies.
about the movies.
I was thinking books.
No, I'm
because
talking about the
a
movies.
reader.
I'm talking specific movie audiences.
Well, bookie works.
Anyway, so but if you look at the every single Harry Potter movie, each one gets darker and darker and darker as it goes along.
Growing
Because
up.
you
The last one's dark as fuck.
The movies grow up with the people watching them. Hence, so the thing is, the Detective Pikachu film they're taking a bit more adult tone with it because they're targeting it at the people who grew up with Pokemon in their childhood and wanting to kind of get some of that back in their lives. Because, to be honest, kids these days, I'm sorry, more kids play Fortnite now than they play Pokemon.
Look at the children over there with their Snapchat
No live actions and the Fortnite.
Back in my day,
seasonal anime watches.
I remember that when I saw films as a child, I did the sensible thing and got buggered by my uncle. They were good days, not like these days where all the films are about adults.
When I was playing the Pokemons on my handheld console, we had to use the street lights in the car.
When I went to the movies,
Only 90s kids will remember that joke. Like, subscribe, hit the bell.
You used to get a newsreel, you used to get some, like, a little picture at the front, and then the orchestra would come up and they'd play the music for your silent films.
I was trying to make a sensible point, and it was a shot down.
It was a sensible point, poorly made.
I think can we if we're aiming it at Deadpool fans though, can we make it a full 15? I want to see a squirrel waterboard someone.
Well, no, because at that point it's still a Nintendo property.
Yeah,
Good point,
you can't.
that's true.
Yeah, you can't go too far. It's like
Alright, fine,
Disney.
shock therapy.
Disney can't be associated with anything that.
It's fine. If it's Pokemon, they can slip into
Be
creepypastas.
very careful where this is going, because Disney has associated themselves with a lot of shit.
Yeah, I'll say Disney is not involved
Like the
here.
Nazis.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, we are owned by
This
Disney.
is not Disney. This is Nintendo.
Yes, but it's like a similar principle of like you can't you can't take those characters and do specific things with them.
No, I can. Fair enough. I was just making a gag, but there we go. Oh dear. I think I'm looking forward to this movie. I was a bit when I first saw that they'd done a trailer for it. I was like, I was a bit skeptical. I watched the trailer. I thought it was a bit creepy looking, but actually, the more and more I've kind of dwelled on it, I'm actually thinking this could be solid. This could be a.
No, I agree. The trailer actually disturbed me the first time I watched it, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? Why does anyone want it?" And then
What the fuck is that thing?
And then there's you, and then there's Lewis and I.
Ah!
Then there's Lewis and I who just disturbed individuals who liked it immediately.
I mean,
No, the thing is, I'm in a situation where I like the style, and it's like, but I can tell that I'm not creeped out by it, as opposed to, why don't other people not find this creepy? You know what I mean?
No, as
I
Mr.
just thought it was
Mime's
gonna
got
be good.
quite literal seams on him because he looks like he's made from plasticine, which is a nice little touch, but also is creepy as heck.
Mm.
It could be a good adaptation. It could be a bad adaptation. I literally don't know, but I will go and see it when it comes out. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that I have to watch simply through sheer curiosity, and I think that's just kind of where I sit on the fence about it. I'm curious about it, even if I'm not sure how it's going to be.
Yeah, it's one of those things where a lot of like I very rarely go and see stuff now when it comes out unless it's like something specific. So I'll probably
Like
watch it.
Mirai.
I'll probably watch it once it comes up online somewhere.
Cue that segue, Tim.
I was trying
Can we-
so hard, and it hurt.
Can we all get a like, favorite, subscribe for Mirai?
What's Mirai? You
No,
say?
why are we no, fuck off. No, unsubscribe, dislike, and shit on your laptop and fax it to us.
If you shit on your laptop and fax on it, can you please like and subscribe, please? We also do that.
No, don't do that. We don't beg for likes. We don't beg for subs. No.
I'm doing it ironically.
No, you little bitch.
I went and saw Mirai a couple of weekends ago.
And like that. Tell me, Huey, what was the sequel, or rather prequel, to Future Diaries like?
Oh, Gaslight made a cute sharp baby. No. For those of you who are not aware, Mirai is the latest film from the director of such films as Boy and the Beast, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Wolf Children, and the Digimon movie, as it was pointed out to me after watching Summer Wars, and I went, "That's really like the Digimon movie," and I found out that it was the same guy.
Okay,
And-
good and great and woke in order of appearance.
I went and saw Mirai. I like this guy. He might be I think.
Metal
Greymon and Metal
Mammy
We'll see who wins now.
Oh,
Right,
Christ,
sorry.
flashbacks.
Oh dear. Sorry. It's Mamoru Hosoda. There we go. Mamoru Hosoda, and he might be my favorite anime director. Because he directed two of my favorite anime movies, being The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Wolf Children. And his new film is Mirai, which is about a boy who is the son of parents who then have another child. And it's all about kind of him learning what it's like to be a big brother and what it's like to grow up and not be the only apple of your parents' eyes anymore. And I really, 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 really enjoyed it because it's the first film I think I've seen in a long while that really, really focused in on the main character and made that main character, like his viewpoint, the focus of the movie. So random and weird stuff happens in the movie, and like Alistair, you've seen it as well, haven't you?
Yes, I've seen it.
I still cannot tell whether or not the weird supernatural elements that happen within the movie are actually supernatural elements, or they're just simply him as a 4 or 5-year-old kid trying to figure out how the world works, and as a result going, well, if this was here, this would help me, and having some kind of supernatural epiphany.
Well,
I can't. I was a little bit. I was not sure. I'm erring on the side of caution because he also recognised the motorcycle and his great grandfather from one of the flashbacks.
That was the point at where I had started to question it, because originally I thought, especially like the first couple of ones, they always happen after something else triggers it, like the one with his mother, he sees is a picture of his mother as a child before it happens.
Well, the
one with the grandfather, those pictures appear after the event happens. So I was like, he didn't even know what his great grandfather looked like. So how is he imagining this?
This is the thing, though. But it's a film that I really enjoyed because of its single focus on what a child thinks. A lot of that film was what's the problems that a child is going to come up with, and a lot of the time kids' problems are not major problems in comparison to a lot of other things. Like when you hit a teenager, your problems become a bit harder, but the problems that he starts to come up with are the fact that his little sister is getting more attention than him. He has to stop playing because he has to do something with his family, stuff like that. Really minor stuff. And I really like the fact that it was a minor film. It had very little stakes, and the stakes were very personal, because it was simply a boy wanting to be loved and not quite understanding why he's not being loved in the exact same way he did before.
I know why. He was an annoying brat.
But he's a kid, and that's the thing. He's a 4-year-old child, and he acted like a 4-year-old child. And I like that. I think I really like medium that portrays kids as being actual kids, and not doing what, say, like JoJo does, where it portrays a 15-year-old kid as being like a 30-year-old. He was a 4-year-old kid, and he acted like a 4-year-old kid, constantly like a 4-year-old kid. He gets tickled and laughs about it. He throws temper tantrums. He at one point. Sorry. Ben is posting.
I knew I'd get you with that last.
Ben is posting in the chat live action pictures from the future diary, and then just at the end of it, a picture of
He's a man.
Anyway, it's all these little things. I've lost my train of thought. Thanks, Ben.
So sorry.
Well,
Can we just do a snap show
of this is what we've seen. I will try and make this short because I'm aware that 3 people in the chat haven't seen it, and it is only just come out and all that.
Sorry, Hugh.
No, it's fine. Basically, I really liked it. I thought it was excellent, good movie. I thought it really had a singular focus on kids acting like kids. I thought it was mystical. I thought it was wonderful. I thought the acting was really good. I thought the animation was stellar. Only issue I do have with it, at times, it felt a little bit episodic. It felt like, and I've said this before...
It felt like a series of OVAs.
It felt like a 3 or 4 episode OVA series that they said, we can't really afford this as an OVA series, but if you release it as a movie, that's fine. And I potentially would have been fine with that as an OVA series, honestly. I liked it on the big screen. I liked sat in the big screen. I was one of only like 20 people watching it in the cinema I went and saw it in, the one showing in Peterborough. I would also like to say, if anyone also saw the one screening of Mirai in Peterborough, you may have seen me. And also, when going there, I remember what some anime watches look like, because I got out of my car. I was on my own to go and watch it because no one around here wants to go and watch these things with me. And as I got out of the car, another guy got out of a couple of rows in front of me, and he was a big guy, and I'm talking, he was quite tall, he was just slightly shorter than me, and I'm going to say round. Let's be kind to him. He was quite round, and he was wearing a Batman t-shirt, and he went in, and I was standing in front of him in the queue to get some sweets. I decided to not get sweets because the line was too long and I wanted to get straight to the movie, and I went and sat down in the cinema. I was sat right at the back, and about 5-10 minutes after I sat down, the guy walks into the cinema and sits down a couple of rows in front of me to watch Mirai, and I went, how could I have guessed that he was going to be watching this?
I had a completely different experience when I went to my one single showing. Basically, We got in, sat down. The movie had started. This mother and child walks in. This kid walks in very enthusiastically, turns around, looks at the screen, realizes the movie's in Japanese, and goes, "Oh no, it's in Japanese," really loudly, and then storms out the room.
Good. You didn't need him in there anyway.
Definitely not.
It was just like the funniest thing. I was just like, how did you not know that this was in Japanese?
It's just people don't realize it. But I think at the end of the day, if you want a good movie that gives you a good idea about what it's like to be a child and kind of takes that kind of childlike whimsy and all of that, and you like all of his old films, you will like Mirai. It's not as good as Wolf Children, but then again, I don't think anything will ever be as good as Wolf Children. I've got that thing on a pedestal that's being guarded by angels. So there we go.
I'll
Did you like
also
it
give
more
my
than,
short opinion on this film. Brief. Basically,
Go for it.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was obscenely amazing. I didn't think it was bad. There were some really, really good bits in it. There were also some bits that I didn't think they fell flat. So it was basically a bunch of lows and peaks. They could have sorted out there was some pacing issues with it, I thought, and I feel like it was trying to take a lot of aspects of like the other films that he'd previously made. I
can understand
so
that.
it uses a time travel aspect that was done better in The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. It does the family aspect that both Wolf Children and Summer Wars has, which I think both those films do better. And I think the awkward quirkiness Summer Wars does better as well. So,
Well, you see, I have the problem that I don't like Summer War.
yeah, no, I enjoy Summer Wars a lot because I think it's dumb fun.
I unfortunately didn't like Summer Wars too much. I thought it was fine. I thought it was I don't know what, I can't put my finger on why I didn't like Summer Wars. I just kind of didn't. I just felt it was a bit like I'd seen it before. And I think because it was very much like the Digimon movie, I felt like I'd seen it before. And so I just kind of it just kind of passed me by, really, that movie. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, do we all have a favorite anime movie? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go on, I'm curious.
Go on, Benny boy, you can go first.
Well, I'll be talking about mine after this, so.
Oh, this is what you want to talk about.
Segue.
Segue.
Nah, I was gonna say, I suppose I should share mine. In which case, mine is the best anime movie ever made. Bible Black. No. No. That's a little fuck. No, it's 5 centimeters per second. It made me cry. Not many things have made me cry.
Very good movie.
I've already had this
is
conversation with
like
Hugh
such
about
ass.
why I don't like that movie, and it's nothing to
You
do with the fact that
don't like talk.
it's nothing to do with the fact that it's bad. I think it's actually really, really good. It's just the fact that it pisses me off, and I hate anything that pisses me off.
Why does it piss you off?
Well, because of the ending. It actually makes me really angry. Yes,
I'll
what
put it
Ben
this-
wrote in the chat.
Oh, right, that would make sense.
No, I'll put it this way. That film, I watched that film at the right time in my life. It hit me like a fucking train. Like, no pun intended. And like, no, that's it really. I mean, I'll talk about it in more detail another time. I don't really feel like I'm in the right headspace to talk about something that's made me cry, so I'm not going to.
I can understand that.
It's a good film. I wouldn't. It's my favorite anime film that I can't really recommend because it really only fucking. Oh gee, thanks guys. Nah, it only really fucking It only worked for me because I was at that point in my life.
I think I really like that movie mainly because I like the fact that it has the essential message of life sucks sometimes and you don't get what you want.
I'd argue that I don't know. I see it as more uplifting, but again, I'll talk about it another time.
Yeah. What about you, Joey? Do you have a favorite anime movie?
Internet is dying again. Oh goody.
No.
Oh well, but no, I'll talk about it another time. As I say, not really in the mindset for it. Benny boy, what's your favorite animated film adventure?
Well, I'll let Joey go first because mine might last a bit.
I haven't actually watched a whole lot of them, but let's go with the classic. I was very much a fan of Princess Nazca and the Valley of the Wind.
Good, solid choice.
I really enjoyed that. I really liked the art art style, the story was really nice. Also, giant insects and the giant flaming giants. That was just pretty cool.
That was very cool.
Yeah, it was just a really nice movie. It's one of the ones I wouldn't exactly say I could just turn off and enjoy it. I'm always paying very heavy attention to it whenever I watched it. But it's just one of those ones I can just glide through it really easy. It is one I can really relax to.
It is a very nice, relaxing movie. I do like it well. Alistair, you said what you don't like. What do you like? What's your favourite?
I'm gonna, before I answer this question, I'm gonna ask: am I allowed to include movies that aren't, for one, standalone, or are actually included in like bigger franchises that also have shows?
Yes, you
Let's say yes, but I also want to know your answer to no.
That's
Okay, I'll give you both.
Okay.
So I'll give my...
Yes, you can say End of Evangelion.
Oh, I love End of Evangelion.
I count End of Evangelion
It's my
as
number
like
2.
2 like.
End of
I haven't
Evangelion is my
thought
number
about
2.
End of Evangelion actually.
I've got a signed copy. It's my number 2.
I do like End of
Weird flex,
Evangelion.
but okay.
All right.
I mean, okay, I'll go with my like not for starters. I think as standalone anime movies go, I probably go with Wolf Children as my favorite anime movie.
Yep.
Oh,
So
you got a backup.
I have got backup. It's Alistair backup, but it's backup nonetheless.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
And like that, Alistair's changed his answer to whatever someone else said.
No. And probably my favorite anime movie that I've seen, and I haven't seen that many, to be fair.
Up your game, mate.
And also, this is entirely dependent on whether the sequels are any good. But the first Heaven's Feel movie is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's like,
Pretty good.
it's a really good movie.
Well, Hugh, we'll watch it next time you come over. It's a really good watch.
Well, the Heaven's Feel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting till it comes on Blu-ray or DVD here, so I can actually support the creators.
I mean, I'm going to buy it as well. I mean,
Yeah,
do you want to
same,
watch
I'm
it
gonna buy
early?
it.
I don't know when
well.
it comes. I don't know when it comes out. So
That's my
Never.
point. Is
It's
do you want
the
to
annoying
That's my point. That's my point.
There's already a rip. There's a.
I know
little
where there's a
rip.
rip. I've been avoiding it constantly.
No, Hugh. That's what I mean. Is I'm going to buy the Blu-ray anyway, but just watch the fucking thing with me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no,
Have you
we're all
watched it
going to
yet?
buy the Blu-ray
Yes.
when it comes out inevitably in the UK, but they haven't announced it yet, so it could be like 3 years.
Well, I'm having a look now and seeing if they have announced it.
All right, handbags at dawn.
Anyway, Ben, what was yours?
So you can have a wallpaper if you really wanted it.
Lewis, I must say, I'm very surprised you didn't go for Perfect Blue.
I've got a lot of favorite anime movies. A lot, genuinely the anime. Like when you ask like what's the favorite anime movie, I immediately thought End of Evangelion, Perfect Blue, 5 centimeters per second. I owe the most to 5 centimeters per second. The End of Evangelion is like the perfect cap to a series, and Perfect Blue is art. And like,
If we were doing a couples quiz like we're known to do, we'd have lost that point there, Lewis.
the thing is, I don't think we would have lost it because if the answer is what is my favorite, then like, again, it's hard. I've kind of given the answer, like, also to an extent. I don't really want to talk about any of my favorite anime movies right now because I'm not really in the mood for any of them because all of them require profound thought. And like 5 centimeters per second is the one that requires the least profound thought and is easiest to say. This means the most to me. If that makes sense. But like talking, right. You were at the dinner with me and you walked home with me after I watched Perfect Blue. I can and have written fucking verbal essays on how much I like that film.
Yeah, it's a fucking masterpiece.
Exactly. So like, don't get me wrong. Perfect Blue, End of Evangelion, and 5 centimeters per second are my 3 favorite anime movies. 5 centimeters is the easiest to explain.
Fair enough.
I'm just not in the mood to talk about 2 really depressing works of art right now.
Hang on a minute. Sorry, I've just been checking I've just been checking websites to see when Heaven's Feel comes out, and I've just realised Flip Flappers released on Blu-ray like 2 days ago, and I'm just about to buy that now. sorry, you guys carry on. I'm about to do weeb things.
Well,
all
Ben,
right,
what was your choice?
I'm
Yeah,
glad
I am listening. I'm just also buying Flip Flappers. Sorry, boys. I love Flip Flappers so much, but there we go.
It occurs to me we could probably do an anime movies cast at some point.
I would
Yeah,
like
no,
to
we
do
probably
that.
will.
Ben,
Anyway.
what's yours?
My favourite is a movie that I've only watched recently, along with a show that I would like to talk about as well, because we watch anime and we've
Who would have thought?
watching anime recently, and there's 2 that have really been like something special that stood out. and so that's kind of a rarity, especially in this era of about 20 shows every 10 seconds.
Please don't
This
say
very
banana
saturated market.
I would like to sarcastically remind the audience that Ben likes the most recent thing to come out, regardless of what it is. See the fact that he considers me a good friend.
Aww.
Wait, you're gay?
How did this only just occur to you?
I've met your girlfriends.
Sorry?
Oh no, yeah, that really should have occurred. I've met your girlfriends.
Oh,
I've had them.
Joe.
Right.
Go
No.
to bed.
So as I'll,
Well.
I'm gonna pass the fucking fire blanket over there, and
Put it out.
And ordered if anyone's interested.
Yes.
Sorry, then go.
It's a movie called Colourful, and it's very mixed in people's opinions of it from what I've read online. Of people either seem to get it and enjoy it quite a lot, or people seem to hate it and think it's trash.
What's it about? Because I've heard you speaking about it, but I haven't actually.
Colourful is a movie about someone who has died and has committed a great sin or several great sins over the course of their life. And as they're dying and passing on into the afterlife, just some faceless, nameless soul, they win a lottery, essentially, at which someone in the afterlife offers them a chance to be reincarnated and come back into the world and re-enter the cycle of reincarnation. All they have to do is they have to enter someone's body and continue on their life and essentially figure out their life and try and use that to learn the shit that they did in their life and how the things they did wrong and the great sins that they committed throughout their life.
This does sound interesting.
So the person gets reincarnated as a young boy who just committed suicide. And as the young boy dies and his soul passes away, this soul enters the boy's body. And so he takes the place and basically begins living the boy's life. But of course, he doesn't know anything about it. And so it's up to the little afterlife assistant called Pura Pura, who is a fantastic character, to help him and fill him in on things like show him where the bedroom is in the house so he doesn't rouse suspicion, and tell him people's names so that he doesn't rouse suspicion and stuff like that. And it goes through and it goes really in depth as to what really depression is, how it affects people and the ways they go, and what family is and what friends really mean and what matters in life. And it really just it's a really deep show that manages to say so much whilst saying so little at the same time.
Sorry, go on.
It genuinely, it meant quite a lot to me when watching it, because it really just reaffirmed a lot of stuff that I went through before and a lot of things that I thought in my head. And it just has so many themes of like forgiveness, acceptance, being grateful for the things that you have and the things that you don't have in some ways, but and just essentially really getting to appreciate life and the people around you, and especially friends, and what makes you happy, and finding the things that make you happy. And it's a show that a lot of people moan about it dragging on, and I get that, and I get that you might not like the main character the same way as people don't like Shinji and stuff, but this one more so, I understand. Even though I don't like Shinji, I do like this main character, and it really comes across and shows the way that depression hits people and the way that your thoughts are affected by things, and how it's hard to describe, and it's much better to go and watch.
I think I will.
It genuinely portrays it so well and does a great job. And a lot of people just say this main character's an arsehole, this main character's a complete piece of shit. How can you watch this movie? How can you enjoy this movie? How can you get through it when the main character's just a complete pile of crap? and it's like you don't get it. You don't understand any moment of this because this is someone going through shit. This is someone with depression. This is someone that's been dumped in someone else's body. Their life is gone, and this other life that they have is also nothing like what they expected and is crumbling around them, and everything is just... They have nothing, and they realise that this other person has nothing, and it just hits them and isolates them and gives them this deep depression and feeling. And so, of course, they have this backlash, this pushing away after everything, and it just makes sense, and it portrays depression fairly decently, of not just isolating yourself, but the horrible thing that it is, where you'll lash out at the people you care about, and you'll do these horrible things because you don't know any better, and you're pushing people away because you just want to be alone, and it's just... It's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie, and there's a moment in it where just the subtlest thing the main character does, and it just means so much, and like really hits home and hits hard, and it's just a simple thing. I won't say, because Lewis has specifically asked that I keep spoilers out because he's not seen it yet.
Nor and I would like to, but I'm so thankful.
And so, but there's just a little thing that the main character does at one point, and it means so much despite being such a simple, easy to do thing. But it's because of the rest of the movie and because of the rest of the stuff you've seen. And I just think that it's an absolutely beautiful movie that really deserves to be watched and appreciated properly.
It's interesting. Oh, sorry, go on.
It just... I get the people that don't get the movie and don't like it, because the main character is an arsehole and does do shit that he shouldn't do and is harsher than he should be at a lot of situations. But that's because the main character's a real person, and people are fucking cunts at times, especially when growing up and especially when going through shit like depression and stuff in their life and things falling apart. And I feel that a lot of people that say this and hate the character and hate bits of the movie are the same people that tell those who have depression, oh, just get over it, or oh, just be happy, or oh, just cheer up, because they don't understand. And this movie, I think, it makes people... It does the best job I've seen of portraying this. And I love it for that, and I love it because it just has such a powerful message and thing that comes across. And I know that it's a much more personal movie to me than a lot of other things, the same way that that 5 centimeters was a much more personal movie to Lewis, and that's why it's up in his book.
Yeah,
because I love 5 centimeters, but it doesn't.
I don't even expect people to like 5 centimeters. I want to watch Colourful because I think I'll come to similar conclusions that you did. But shall we say, with I think what is one of my best, like my favorite kinds of review, my favorite thing, and I cannot recommend it.
Yeah, like genuinely, it wouldn't surprise me if everyone went away and said I hated it and it was terrible, and that wouldn't change my opinion one bit. And I also would not fault you or argue against you.
It's interesting as well. I'm looking at the person who directed it as well. He's before this he has an interesting he has an interesting history, because I don't know if you know what the director writer of this actually did beforehand, Ben.
Oh, I was reading about it, and
he directed pretty much all of the Crayon Shin-chan movies and a load of Doraemon movies. So
Doraemon, that's the one I remember. Yeah,
and an absolute F ton of Crayon Shin-chan movies, to the point where like 5 years before he did Colourful, he did a Shin-chan movie. And that's an interesting point I'd like to bring up, the idea that you forget that anime directors...
He did do a lot of...
He really did a lot, didn't he? You forget, with anime directors, a lot of them can do a lot of different stuff if need be, because I think a lot of the high-profile anime directors are anime directors that have done a very specific thing. So Hideaki Anno is basically known for doing
Evangelion,
mecha and weird sci-fi. That's why when they were doing the live-action Shin Godzilla, they went, "This is Hideaki Anno's thing." It's why Shin Godzilla feels like Evangelion. And so it's just interesting looking at that and hearing your praise for that movie. That actually it proves as well that there is a director that can do very, very good films about depression and childish films about, a kid who likes showing his butt. This is really interesting.
Legitimately, because of course I make this assertion, I also want to point out that I think this is helpful for adaptations and shit, because lest we forget, and of course I'd name the example, Urabuchi-san, he's a writer, and he makes anime, and he makes a puppet show,
of course he does.
And it's and he's a very multi-talented man who's done several genres, and he's made visual novels. He doesn't even work for an anime studio. He works for a fucking visual novel studio.
Yeah, he does.
And just happens to occasionally get art taken.
And it's like, would you look at that? Isn't it that the most talented man any of you will ever meet? I love you, Urabuchi-san.
Fellatio continues.
But no, it's just he might be dead now. But no, it's
one last point, because I genuinely forgot to mention it, is another thing that brings it so well is that every character is interesting, and every character feels like a real person. No one is perfect. By most means, everyone is actually a bit shit in the fact that they all have flaws. Some of them much greater than others. But that makes them real, and it makes them feel much more real and much more personable, because they have something to them, instead of just being, oh, I'm the perfect character, oh, I'm the harem king, I'm gonna get every girl. No, everyone has something to them and has a quirk or something, which goes to another bit why I understand why people wouldn't like it, because I know a lot of people like to watch anime as a form of escapism to get away from
and our host, apparently.
But this show is something that I think even those people could, I'm not going to say they will, but I think could enjoy, in the fact that it is just very well told.
Has it got something to say to everyone? It just might be that whoever they're watching might not like what is being said to them.
I would certainly agree with that.
Yeah. It sounds like an interesting thing. I think different anime movies do different. So it's like a silent voice really hit home for me, not because. Thank you for saying that, Hugh, because I genuinely described this to Lewis as a silent voice, but without the comedy parts and bits that make it so much less grounded and serious. The reason that the silent voice never really hit me, even on my rewatch when I wasn't, a bottle of whiskey deep, it didn't really hit me that much. I went into it and I was like, alright, you know what, I'm in one of those moods today, I'm ready, I'm prepared to let out some emotion, maybe even shed a tear at this thing. I'm feeling the flow, let's go through, let's hit this. And I watched it, and I didn't shed a single tear, and I didn't get fully emotional at any point, because every point on the way through I sat there and I was like, there's a lot of moments that it's a fantastic movie and I love it, but there's a lot of moments that detract from it, and there's a lot of moments that I think there's never really any part of it to me that made me go, no, this is a proper sad big thing that's I'd argue the opposite. Comedy moments make the more emotional moments more poignant because you have something to compare it to. That this person's life is kind of at sometimes happy, it's sometimes sad. It feels more grounded because it has the comedy elements, and yeah, it's a bit quirky at times, but it's a manga that is designed specifically to be quirky in some aspects. And I think I've seen A Silent Voice on multiple occasions now, and I have shed tears at it. I think A Silent Voice to me has one of the most powerful scenes in anime, where
out of interest, which scene?
The scene after. Right, Alastair. At this point, I know this film is relatively old. I would like you to put a timestamp to when I stop saying this, because this is a spoiler for A Silent Voice.
Oh shit, hang on, let me take off my headset, one moment.
Thank you, Lewis.
Right. Give me a minute.
Yep, I'm waiting.
I will come back in 60 seconds. I will come back in 60 seconds.
Right, fair enough. Right. Good. Now that I know his headphones are off. and spoiler for a silent voice, it is the part where our main character has just fallen off the balcony and is in a coma.
Yeah, I thought that
And
did a bit.
every character is trying to come and see him, and Shoko comes to try and see him on multiple times, and it's kind of, she's not really being able to because people are kind of blaming her for it. And it's the section where she's getting hit by the other girl, her mum steps in, the main character's mum steps in, it all comes in there, and then Shoko breaks down, and it's some of the finest voice acting I think I've ever heard, of just her voice actress screaming, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," and I could not hold back the floods of this girl realizing every decision she had made was wrong and has caused others pain, and it absolutely got me. And I feel like the humorous moments actually forced that to be higher for me, because you saw her having fun, you saw her being a bit humorous with people, and then suddenly all of this happens and it is thing, and that is the end of spoilers. Welcome back. Literally, if Lewis puts his headphones back on, that could have been more perfect.
That was good, yeah.
There we go. That worked.
Lewis, sorry, Hugh. I agree, and I think that was the most powerful bit. But and I did feel it. It did rise like emotion and a lot of stuff in me. But it made me angry as well.
How so?
Because the entire movie, the main character, he gets off. It just, the fact that he stumbles dick first into just, oh yeah, everything's fine, everyone's happy with just like getting to know you, is infuriating to me.
You see, I would argue that's not how it works, but I will let you continue.
It just, I get the, I get it, and I love the movie. I really do. It's in my top ones, despite the way I'm talking about it. But it's just, I'm talking about it like this because it seems to have been put in such like a position where like anyone who criticizes it gets burnt at the stake, like the Salem.
It's got its flaws. It is certainly got its flaws.
It's not
but the
perfect.
thing is,
almost nothing.
the thing is, everyone hailed it as this huge, massive emotional thing, and I really, honestly do get that. But it's just, I feel it just makes a lot of decisions that, for me, take me out of it and take me out of this sort of way. Like, it's just so sudden, the fact of like. That I won't say a lot because of Lewis, of course. But there's just so many emotions that certain people acquire. That's like, why do you not remember any of the stuff? And there's other and it's like,
I think this
it
might
just
be
feels a lot of people get off free, and it really pisses me off, especially with long black-haired girl. Nothing becomes of any of that shit, and it's you are an absolute terrible human. Why the fuck do you deserve any semblance of a happy ending?
I do feel
you've tried no way to better yourself in this entire movie. Why do you get in on this?
I do feel this might be a larger problem in adaptions of having to cut sections in order to make it it's an actual streamline. Because I'm not going to go and say just read the manga. The manga's great. The manga is really, really good, and it has. But I would argue, I think the film is better than the manga because the manga has an entire movie plot which kind of isn't very good.
Yeah,
and I can see like the fact that if you have never read the manga, I would say. Yeah, exactly. The manga has more resolutions for more characters, whereas the movie is more streamlined and makes more sense. I think essentially we're probably going to go down this spiral, and I am distinctly aware Lewis has not watched this movie, so I don't want to go.
I'm going to segue us off this topic because one, this is turning into the movie cast, and two, Lewis has not seen A Silent Voice. So, but going off.
So let's talk about a show Lewis can talk about.
Well,
why not?
Fish.
Well, the thing is, I was going to segue off. Anyway,
close enough.
What's my thing?
I was going to segue off the thing that you said about having comedic moments in in movies or whatever makes the emotional, sad moments more powerful.
Like in Rainbow.
No. I was going to talk about Toradora. Damn it! Fuck you.
Oh, right.
Can I? Sorry, I evidently wasn't around for that when I was doing the fucking internet. I'll say that you can have your Sabbaths and you're happy with. Just make sure you're internally consistent. Otherwise, you become a bad Marvel movie where you can't resist having a funny bit every time, even when the tone doesn't call for it.
Well,
The Last Jedi. Yeah.
Welcome to Age of Ultron, everybody.
No, well,
Yeah,
The
just-
Last
just-
Jedi. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Doctor Strange is where I really fucking noticed it. Just thought I'd throw that one out there as a bit of a cautionary tale to any of you who think that, good storytelling means that we'll reach a wider audience if we include jokes. No one feels serious. Fuck off. Let people feel things. Don't compromise your tone, you stupid twats.
So what's Rainbow, Ben?
Can I say what Rainbow is? I've not spoken in half an hour.
You
Ben,
can.
Lewis, what's Rainbow?
Make one anxiety-riddled point of once again saying, "I do absolutely adore a silent voice. Please don't kill me."
Lewis, what's Rainbow?
Rainbow is a TV program which is essentially follows the adventures of a bunch of gays.
Okay,
Hence
I'm
why it's
out.
called Rainbow, I suppose.
But none of them are actually gay. But...
None of them are actually gay. They just get sodomized, which is
no,
Alistair,
Alistair, you fucking love it. The bad guy's gay.
yeah. The bad guy's gay, and they all get sodomized.
Oh.
So 10 years after the Japanese lost in the most spectacular way possible, a bunch of Hiroshima, a bunch of young.
Technically, but, right.
It comes up. Basically, a bunch of young lads are in post-war Japan, and in their shenanigans, they, steal a loaf of bread, or, beat a man who tried to rape their daughter half to death. Or, in some cases, their dads went mental after they came back from the war, and I'm still not sure how Bro got arrested. But anyway, and basically, these delinquents get arrested and they get chucked into a prison where there is an abusive security guard who A, enjoys beating enjoys beating the boys, but B, will also sell the boys to the doctor who rapes them. Basically, it's a story about hope, and it's really good.
It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's about people that have lost everything, are locked in prison, and seem to have had every shred of dignity, life, whatever they had before stolen from them, and learning that there are some things they can cling to in life that still carry through, and there is hope to be found no matter what position you're in, no matter what situation you are, you can still have dreams.
Which the name of the show comes from the fact that both of there is 7 inmates, and the fact that what they hold in their hearts is the rainbow, which will put them through. Which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It's an interesting program, and it's got a really tight focus, which is what I really like. Your villains are very well established. One of them is your fucking doctor. The other one is the security guard, and the last one is the general hopelessness of Japan after they lost the war, which I'd argue is a villain in this.
Yes,
in this
it is, and it's so fantastically done.
It's a hopelessness, and the thing is, the Americans appear at a few points. I'm sure we'll talk about whether on the American Army basis, and the Americans are sort of represented as they're never some of them are represented as taking the piss or taking advantage of the Japanese. Yeah, sure, but at no point is it disrespectful. At every point, never feels like the Americans they resent them. They resent themselves for losing.
Yeah,
and there's this general sort of shame. The cast where these young men have mostly lost their fathers and brothers and generally feel kind of emasculated by the fact that they all lost the war and they don't really know what to do. Where Japan, it's a very pro-Japanese program in the sense of it's talking about that sort of post-economic hope.
They should have won the war.
No, but it's very pro-Japan in the sense of it's very pro the young people who came together and rebuilt the country after the war. It's very pro them and talks about how their struggles, are really worthwhile to talk about. It's a good program, and as I say, it's the one thing which I really applaud it for is its focus, which is the reason why I stopped watching after episode 13 because the anime's kind of split into 2 halves, really.
Yeah, I told Lewis when he was about 3/4 of the way through that you can stop at the halfway point, and I think that's a fantastic and brilliant stopping point for the show, and I wouldn't fault anyone for stopping
Yeah.
there. However, I do think the second half is still amazing and worth watching and has a lot of moments you would be missing out on, but once again, would not fault anyone for stopping at the end of that story, because that is the story sorted.
I think
If I'm being
the characters.
If I'm being honest, like very minor spoiler, like they do quite a bit of the series is when they're no longer in prison. And for me, once they left the prison, like around about episode 10 or so, they leave the prison, and it genuinely actually started to kind of lose me a little bit there, where just we kind of lost that focus. And there was a really nice, it's a nice little boxing side plot. But at that point, it was kind of like the central heart of the show of these 7 young men fighting to regain their shame in a place that's taken all their dignity, kind of fell to the wayside. And like at that point, it was losing me a bit. But the first, it's still a good show.
A big event. Like,
it's still
regains quite a heavy bit of focus again.
Yeah, it's still a good show, and it's an interesting exercise in focus, honestly, in your storyline.
I think there are a lot of shows that do that though, where I think this might be. Is this an original show, or is it based on a manga?
It's a manga. It's based on a manga.
Right. In which case, I can kind of see this, because I think manga adaptations have this unfortunate problem, because with a manga adaptation, you're either coming out once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month. Sometimes twice a month if you're popular and you do something else. And I feel because they usually split up into arcs, the beginning of a manga will feel very, very different from the end of one sometimes. And you can unfortunately lose what made a manga good, and as a result, what made an anime good, by changing what you thought. So Dead Man Wonderland had a really, really good first 2 episodes and then kind of ignored them.
The last 4 went a bit crap, but people still wanted more and they didn't give it.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things where it's like, I can
and
see...
I'll be your dead man.
But it's just like, this one of those things, isn't it? Where it's just like, actually, sometimes a manga does not do it. So Prison School. Prison School is called Prison School, and spoiler alert, at the end of the first season of Prison School, there is only one season, they get out of prison. And they don't... And only, like 2 of them end up going back to prison at any point. The rest of the time is just spent in the school. And as a result... What? Sorry?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Prison School's not about a prison school after, like, the first quarter.
That doesn't make sense to me the same way that it's likely it's just me, because it's like... I imagine if you read the premise of Rainbow and stuff, and then listen to Lewis there, he's like... they get out of the prison about a third of the way through the show or whatever. Probably just over that. But it's like, what the fuck? Why? What are you on about?
Well, this is prison.
Am I right in thinking it's the same way in Rainbow, and the characters carry the show from there on because you're invested in the characters by that point and want to see?
Well, that's what they try and do, at least.
I thought Prison School was just porn.
I mean, it's borderline at times because of the way it does its comedy, but it's kind of one of those things that actually, well, Ben's left, so I can't really even respond to his comments.
No, go ahead, continue. I can respond.
It's all right. No, I think it's one of those things where in Prison School they do leave prison, and they are essentially hoping that you have enough of an intrigue of those characters, and in the nicest possible way to Prison School. I thought Prison School was very, very funny.
We don't.
I thought Prison School was very, very funny, but I don't actually care about most of the characters. I care about them being in very weird and... The whole point of Prison School is that you go into a situation and they overblow it to all hell. So it's like, I need to sneak off to go and put this thing here. Oh god, she's caught me. Pretend you're peeing. Oh god, it's all going wrong. And it's just like... That's what made Prison School funny. It could have been any character doing it, because it's just an absurd world with people that take it a bit too seriously in it. And later on,
the characters are fairly generic at that.
And later on, they try and kind of push more of the characters a bit better. But again, doesn't really work as well. And I think certain I like you, Lewis. I like an anime and I like a manga and I like a tight focus. So like I'm gonna help Alastair here and say that Toradora has a tight focus the entire time. It just happens that focus shifts very slowly as it goes through, but still maintains on it.
Well, I have a vague feeling when it comes to Toradora that she knew, like, when she was writing it, she knew the entire story before she like started. Like,
Absolutely.
she
It's
knew
obvious.
she knew the whole thing. Like, she knew the 5 volumes that she wanted to write, and she wrote them, which would have been the same for things like Fate Zero as well. Like, they knew exactly what they were going to write before they started writing it.
I get the feeling that she went, this is how I'm going to be in it, this is how I'm going to end it. How I get there's different.
Yes.
Ben's back. I like Toradora a lot. I really like Toradora. Toradora is potentially the last great... Yes, we know, Ben, you were loud as heck.
Oh, I was on the other side of the fucking room.
Literally, we were just like, I was responding to your comment when, Ben's gone. And then just as I'm in the middle of the ticket, all we hear is just... Oh, Ben's back.
I came sprinting into the room with fucking whiskey.
Of course you did.
course you did.
I think Toradora, up until 2015, was the last great, like, rom-com of anime. Until 2015 hit, and then My Love Story descended from the heavens and gave me hope.
I think there were other rom-coms in that time.
Name another rom-com from, like, 2008 that was actually a proper rom-com and not just had romantic elements that you would say is on par with Toradora and my...
When the Clan had come out.
2006.
Clanad was
Never
before.
mind.
Yeah.
Golden Time.
No, because Golden Time is not. I
liked Golden
Time
Time.
is good, but it has
same
too many
author as
flaws.
Toradora. Same author as Toradora. I'd like to point
Yeah,
out.
it is.
I liked Golden Time a lot. I think. Sorry, I was spinning around in my chair there, and through the corner of my eye, I saw something. I panicked. And realized it was just my shadow.
Perfect.
You can know how jumpy I am. I think Golden Time was good. Toradora's much better.
Give me
Yeah.
time, I'll more.
Oh, no, absolutely. But like you can absolutely. But I think it was Toradora, and Toradora sat in the public consciousness for a long time. And I'd argue Clanad's not a rom-com. Clanad's just a romance slice of life.
No, it's a rom-com, mate.
I wouldn't argue it. It's got comedic elements. I wouldn't call it a rom-com.
It's the fact if you look at any like top 10 list of romance anime, rom-com anime, or whatnot, there are like at least 5 shows that are on every single one of those lists. That is Clanad,
You'll always
Toradora.
get Clanad, you'll always get Toradora, yeah.
It's Clanad, Toradora. Maid-sama always pops up.
Nah, never liked it.
I forgot
Didn't
what
do
the other
it for
2
me.
are that always pop up. But there's 2 more that always... Oh yeah, My Love Story obviously always pops up. And
Did you not
I
like
love
Maid-sama? Yeah.
It's alright, it was fine. I thought it was perfectly okay. I thought it was old shoujo. And I think I like shoujo. I like shoujo a lot. I'm a very tall, bearded bloke who likes his shoujo. However, I have one major problem with shoujo, and I think it's the major problem that everybody else have with shoujo. And that's shoujo couldn't win a race against a snail that's been given sleeping pills.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong. There's essentially 2 shoujo shows that I will hold up and go, these are great. My Love Story, because it doesn't do the slow pacing.
Sorry, what was the time period you gave again?
About 2008 onwards.
Yeah.
2008 onwards.
Toradora
Since
came out 10 years ago. It's celebrating its 10-year anniversary
Yeah.
today.
Since
this year.
Toradora, up until 2015, I can't think of another properly good rom-com. And I might be wrong. In fact, I welcome being wrong, but I just can't.
I'm
think of it.
racking my memory so desperately.
Yeah, and but yeah, my Love Story when alright, they're together within like the first 5 episodes. Good.
Yeah, that's
Advanced
what I
relationship
like
now.
about that
Yeah.
show.
And
Is
hang on,
they're
I've got
actually
one.
dating from
Go
the
on.
like beginning.
What was that fucking program that was like 5 minutes long and it was just minute-long shorts?
oh no, not Surrey Children or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes!
That came
Yes.
out though. That came with that.
Nothing.
That was
That's
very
though.
recent.
That's
That was
2017.
2017. Good shout though, but 2017.
Wait, that doesn't count?
No, we're
No,
talking
no,
between
between
2008 and
2008
2008 and 2015.
Until
right.
between after Toradora, before My Love Story, did anything come out that was good? Or at least, good enough to be able to be held up there. Anyway, so My Love Story is really good. The other one is just one that shows how good shoujo can be when it's just shoujo, and that's Kimi ni Todake from Me to You, which is just very, very good shoujo. It's slow as all heck. I think it took till chapter 74 or 76, might be 75, in the manga for the two main characters to kiss.
I've got it!
Gone?
Nisekoi.
Nah.
My argument against Nisekoi is it doesn't have an ending.
Well, it does. It's
The
just-
manga-
No, the anime doesn't.
Well, that's because it's an anime, and animes don't have endings.
Toradora has
Animes
Okay,
have-
then Sakura-so.
Nizuko's fun. With Shaft. I like Shaft.
Oh,
wouldn't put
Nisekoi
it-
is great.
I
I
would-
just
I'd-
wish I knew what
alright.
the ending was.
Oh, mate,
Alright.
actually,
He gets with
I've got a
cheese.
few. I've loaded up my list, and now I've got a few. Right, Sakura-so, we've got Chuni Boyo.
Chinibyo. Yeah, Chinibyo. I'll
Once
give you
again,
that
doesn't have an ending.
one. Yes, it's
Gekken Shoujo Nozaki-kun.
not a rom-com.
Yes,
It's
it
a
is.
it's a comedy. It's not a rom-com.
Oh, you little bastard.
It's a comedy. It's not a rom-com. It's not got romance in it. It's got.
Alright, I'll
It's
smack you
got
out the park with the
crushes.
next one then, because you can't get no technicalities. Orimo!
Get
I
out.
have one.
No one was laughing.
I have one.
I genuinely love Orimo.
Arimo's that show that you shouldn't like, and yet you do.
Yeah.
Also to a god.
Could- Lewis would like to put forward another genuine suggestion.
Okay.
Begata HK. I'm not even kidding. I found
Yeah.
it funny.
No,
Is
that's
that the
true.
one about the girl that wants to lose her virginity to 100 men?
Yes, but it's
yeah,
got a
that
crippling fear of cock,
Um,
and she's got a sex fairy. I found it really funny, and you cannot just.
Or is that an?
Yes, it's a comedy that is about a romance because she doesn't actually want to fuck anyone. She just she falls in love with the boy episode 1, and the boy is fucking clueless and doesn't want to lose his virginity.
Fair enough. Fair enough, but there we go.
Kokoro Connect?
No, it has elements, but I think that it has very weak arcs after the first one. I like the first arc a lot. I thought the other arcs kind of
Anyway,
drastically.
shall we move on?
Yeah, sorry, I got onto the rom-com train there, and I just started chugging
Sorry.
along, chugga. Sorry, me being weird there.
Yeah.
Going
I'm
back
just
to
reading my own list at this
Yeah.
point. I'm so sorry.
going back all the way to the opening to something that Ben says. I feel slightly sorry for making fun of My Little Sister Is My Writer after hearing all the news about that recently.
Oh, yeah.
So, for
I
those
don't.
of you,
The animation's still a pile of absolute shit.
it's not. For those of you who aren't in the loop, My Little Sister Is My Writer is having massive budget problems right now. In a recent episode, one of the names in the credits quite literally read something like "We need help" or "bad working conditions," and then it was revealed recently that actually they've
Wait. No, I'm sorry, I hadn't heard this. They did a cry for help in the credits. Like
in the
genuinely.
credits they
Like
had
a fucking ransom letter style.
in the credits, one of the names translated to something like "bad working conditions" or "help us" or something like that.
Fuck me, now I feel really bad.
Then it was revealed the next week that they hadn't been paid, and that actually the reason why they are really, really bad is because A, the budget's low, and B, they're not being paid to do it properly. And I think
See, I knew that. I just didn't know that they'd been like put in a really shit. Like if they put
This
cry
is
for
why
help in
I'm-
the thing, that's more than payment, mate.
this is why I feel sorry for making fun of this, and I'm going to sit this down and say I still think my little sister, my writer kind of section of our podcast was really funny. I'm happy with myself in that, and I'll stand by it. However, I'm going to put a little asterisk now and say that show's still terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Every single person that is behind a bad show deserves to be paid and deserves to be treated well, regardless of how the product turns out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to reach the people who are at the top of that anime studio or whatever to actually get through my message to them. But if you can't afford to pay your animators, maybe
You don't get to make anime.
Yeah, you don't get to do it. And
Yeah.
if that means I don't get any more My Little Sister Is My Writer, I'm fine with that, as long as those people who
I
actually
think a lot of people have with that.
Yeah, I will. It means as long as they can go and do something else, because I think every single one of those people that are animating that are probably better served doing better shows. I'm pretty sure My Hero Academia needs another anime. I don't know.
See, I don't know. See, part of me sat there and I'm like, I feel bad for it, but I don't want to take any of it back. Because
I'm not taking anything.
the show would not have been aired if they didn't. It wouldn't have made it anywhere near airing, or especially anywhere near getting like proper official sub and shit, if it didn't have budget and have some money behind it. So it clearly had it at the beginning, and the show had those awful animation bits from the get-go. So I feel like the comments are still justified.
Oh no, I'm not taking the comments back at all.
Well, I feel what happened was because I can't confirm this for certain, but I seem to remember reading somewhere that there's a lot of stuff to do with funding in anime that's done via ratings and reviews by the week.
It's it's something which we often forget in the West, but the vast majority of anime money comes from Japan, and ultimately they are not anime; they are TV shows, and they are funded like a TV show.
So they get funding based on their ratings and what's happening, and of course the poor animation will have done a big hit. And I can't help but feel, especially given, and this isn't trying to be offensive in any way, shape, or form, but given especially the pressure and the need to be perfect and have this sort of image in Japanese culture, especially with regards to work, the fact that suddenly the writers aren't being paid after the show's been criticized massively for its terrible animation really implies to me that it went through. They got the crappy things because it took long enough for them to do this and come out with it. So I think, and I might be off base, this is just a gut feeling and my personal opinion. I'm happily proved wrong, and I don't mind if I am wrong in any way, shape, or form. But I feel like it went through. It started fine. Then they got the low viewings and the low ratings. They looked into why. They eventually got some form of focus group or ask, because it went long enough before this has all come out. And it hit.
Either that, or this has only come out for a while because they've kept quiet about it, thinking, well, we might get paid next week.
Well,
we might get paid next
well,
week.
they
And then it hits we're still not being paid. Maybe they start to say something.
I think, no, not
I have an actual reason.
Not enough for a help message.
I have an actual reason. Please don't forget about Japanese work culture, where there is zero mobility to switch between companies or jobs. This goes from the lowest to the highest level. You do not change companies in Japanese work society. If you want even proof of this at the highest level, look how long it took Kojima and the guy who made Castlevania 79 to leave Konami.
Yeah. I was about to say,
like
Kojima to leave Kojima.
No, Kojima, sons of Kojima. But I got you back. But like, just don't forget as well as that, like when Hideo Miyazaki first made the Pokemon. Now, when Miyazaki first switched onto From Software, he took a pay cut that was 90% of his original job, because that's how desperate he was to get into the video game industry, and that's how awful it was trying to switch jobs from a company to another company in Japan. These animators can't change job. Like, that's the reason they can't. It's not that it's like, you know, it's like, oh well, you know, like why are they just sending out a message for help? No, they're sending out a message for help because they can't quit. They need someone to investigate and make it better while still being in the same company.
Now, I'm never going to pull back what I said about the show, but I will say this. I think the fact that the show is a bit terrible potentially has been to their credit in the fact that I would not be talking about this. I would not have brought this up if I hadn't been watching the show. Because if I just saw a news story, so-and-so is not being paid, I'd think, oh, that's pretty bad. But then in the nicest possible way, I'd probably then just skip over it. Because I've been paying attention to this show and I've been watching it, when I saw this, I went, hang on a minute. And it suddenly dawned on me, and that's why I'm paying attention. That's why I'm bringing it up. I just think I think whatever's happened there, something's clearly gone very badly wrong. And be it like Ben says that it's gone badly wrong after the fact, or be it like Lewis said that it was bad to begin with, and they're only just saying it because they kind of gone, we can't leave, we need someone to help us. Something's happened, and problems are going to occur. And I think this speaks to a wider problem that I've read about on multiple occasions, that Japanese animators, especially in animation studios, do not get anywhere near the pay they should. They are drastically underpaid. Like, if you want to go and have a look and see how drastically underpaid they are,
look at the NHS.
Well, first off, look at the chart to see how much money each person in anime production is paid. The majority
I like that chart. The majority goes to voice actors, doesn't it?
The majority goes to voice actors, then it's the director, then it's producers, then it's storyboard, then down until eventually you get to animators. And
I think
animators first. Then it's animators who do in between frames.
I'm entirely pulling this out of my brain, but as I recall, like a proper keyframe animator is paid something like $16,000 a year.
Yeah, which is nothing.
And a regular animator is paid $12,000 a year, which you can't live on that, especially if you live in here we go. Yeah, there it is.
There we go. So
it's even worse than I thought.
Yeah, it is quite literally like so a voice actress is going to get paid around $600,000. An A-list voice actor. We're gonna move down. Then you've got your executive producer. Your chief animator is probably going to about $44,000. Then your director, $42,500. Your episode director, $28,600. So on and so on and so on. A college student who is there doing college stuff and a part-timer who's a part-timer earn more than an animator. And that's horrendous, because the animators are in there day in, day out making that show. I'm never going to say that college students and part-timers aren't doing their jobs, but when a part-timer is earning almost double what an animator's earning...
Why are CG
I was about to say, why
are
CG animators paid like more than double the amount?
Because
CG animation looks worse.
No, even simpler than that. Okay, animation team, here's your $20,000 budget to make your anime for the season. CG director puts his hand up. I'm going to spend $5,000 on this animation and pay myself $15,000. Regular animators, I'm going to spend $10,000 on hand drawing this. I get paid $10,000. CG animation is cheaper, therefore you can afford to pay your CG director more.
I also like how the chief animator gets paid a metric fuckdom while every other animator gets left in the shit.
Oh, of course they do.
It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And I think it's faces of the company down to the down to what they consider the dregs. And I think we've gone from a very, very happy, funny podcast to something that's suddenly gone quite serious in certain aspects.
Funnily enough, just musing on the fact that I haven't really said much this podcast because I don't want to bring down the tone. The moment I open my fucking mouth.
I will. Since I'm aware we are kind of essentially bringing the tone, can I just say one thing before we essentially jump off?
Well, there's one thing I wanted to add as well to this. Is like,
alright, you go for it, Alastair.
Because we've always been like, it's like whether this was a thing that happened while it was airing or whether it was doomed from the start. The problem is with My Sister's My Writer, it's one of those anime that, as actually has come up in various anime that have like some sort of light novel writer background or turning source material into anime. Like if that takes place in the anime, we've seen it that in the anime industry, they sometimes go like, "Oh, we have a slot, we need to fill it." So last minute they decide, "Okay, we'll put this thing in." And this is one of those times where normally you start production on an anime. I think I read somewhere that it's like a year.
It's about a year.
It's a year, and for a movie it's 2 years. This started less than 8 months before.
Yeah,
they started 4 months late.
It's a very quick one, isn't it? But essentially...
Yeah. So it was kind of almost in this thing of like it was doomed to fail from the start because it was just one of those last minute, we have a time slot to fill, let's just fill it with this thing.
I can believe that wholeheartedly.
It's the same with a lot of like isekai that comes out. A lot of it is just like, we have a time slot to fill it.
Christ. What I will say is just kind of to finish this off. If you have listened to this, all four of you who are listening, and you feel, this is terrible, I'd like to do something, there are campaigns online where you can give money, and they will go to animators whom we've seen do not earn a huge amount, and it will help them out with rent, with food, and so they can continue making the shows you actually really enjoy. Because at the end of the day, if one of those chains break down, the entire thing breaks down. So if you want to support them, absolutely go ahead. I cannot remember the name of the charity which does it off the top of my head. I do apologise. If I find it later, we'll add it in the comments section. Alastair, if that's all right, if we can add that in the comments section.
That's fine.
We'll pop that in there, but if you want to go and do it, take a look at that. I think that's really something to look at.
Are you going to donate to this, Hugh?
It's
I have already
animated
donated.
dormitories.
I
Very good.
have already donated to it.
It's animated
Very good.
dormitories.
Animated dormitories, yes. So yeah, I have already. I've already donated to it. I donated to it, and in fact, I make a donation every month because I do feel like they need to essentially be paid a larger wage. And if I can help out, I am a big anime fan. I'm part of an anime podcast. If I can throw some of my wage to them, then I feel that is good for the industry and it's good for them. However, I do feel the industry needs to change because, let's be honest here, you can't rely on donations from overseas to help substantiate a job. That's not sustainable.
That makes doesn't that beg the question of why Patreon and Twitch are a thing?
I'd argue that Patreon's different because Patreon is almost like your paycheck. But there we go. But that there is a
To be honest, there's a lot of people I would support if they came out instead of saying, if they came out and just said, look, our team's not being paid enough and we want decent wage and things like that, and we're making like several anime. Can you support us and come out with a Patreon? I would gladly give monthly to that sort of shit because it's easily facilitated and stuff like that. And it's like these charities are hidden. No one advertises this. Crunchyroll doesn't. No one in the industry does because they don't want to make it look like there's an actual problem there, because that makes them look bad for facilitating the problem. And so this is always hidden and hidden away, whereas you can't hide away a Patreon. It's a public page that's public knowledge and stuff like that. And so I would gladly like to see a lot more companies or people come forwards and say, look, for a more proper wage, donate to this and we can bring out more high quality anime. Like, for fuck's sake, imagine if like Berserk 2017 had come out in 2016 and said, hey, we've got funding issues, but we know a lot of people really want to see this. We've already started the work on it. We're setting up a Patreon. The more we can get, the better chance of it being a higher quality.
I'd argue about then it'd probably just get cancelled. I think they weren't in the Patreon mood at this point. I think we've come into a point where Patreon's bigger now. People are more willing to give money over the internet than they used to be.
Yeah, we are, but I think that's why.
Lewis,
people whose jobs they
you're enjoying your music there, Lewis.
Yes.
There's a lot of people whose jobs continue normally and they still go to Patreon because it doesn't earn them enough to get by properly.
Oh no, I agree.
So I don't see why we can't branch it out into proper things such as this.
Yeah,
where there's clearly a problem and we want to acknowledge the problem because nowhere else is doing so because it makes them look bad themselves. So it'd just be nice if we could set up a situation like that. Obviously, our voices are never going to reach anyone at this sort of level, but it's just one of those things where I happily already support several indie Patreons, but if I saw someone big come out and say, look, staff is struggling for this, I just want to make it better. Like, it's already been lit and there's money for it, but it's not enough for them to properly live off. And whether it comes out of a decent quality or not doesn't mean that these people are getting a decent way of life. I'd gladly donate to that. And I know it sounds more like a charity, but let's be honest.
That's what they need
Charities
sometimes.
get swept under the rug for reasons I said before.
No, I agree. Can
Anyway,
I ask? Does anyone else have anything to talk about, or can I drop down one final topic?
Yeah, I have another, but I'd gladly listen to you.
I didn't really come
Well,
with
I'm
anything.
saying.
Let's chat.
In which case, Ben, shall we make your one the final topic? I was just kind of saying.
As long as it's happy.
I would just a happy topic to end on. So I was just going to drop one in, but if not, we can drop it in later. Ben, what would you like to talk about?
I mean, I want to hear yours, Hugh.
Well, I was going to try and keep this short. But essentially, I
I
wanted
mean,
to
we're
drop down.
already about an hour and 40 minutes into this, so it's...
Well, hence why I was trying to keep it below the 2. I was going to drop down, and I know that. So, a couple of weeks ago, I went and visited Lewis, and we sat down together and we watched the first recap movie of Code Geass, or Geass, or whatever you want to watch. And one of the reasons, obviously, why they're doing the whole recap is because they're changing some parts of it in order to get ready for the brand new movie, Lelouch of the Resurrection. Now,
Boy, I wonder who's alive in that movie.
I want to
It's Suzuki.
I would like to. Why not Honda? What I would like to ask is, what are your thoughts on there being a sequel movie to Code Geass, despite the fact that I would argue that R2 has one of the most satisfying and conclusive endings in anime history?
I can't comment on that because I've never seen it, so I wouldn't know.
Fair enough.
Right.
I will not spoil anything for you, Alastair, but essentially, R2's ending is perfect. It's brilliant. Yeah. It's perfect.
Well,
I'm not even
touched.
saying. Yeah, I feel like Code Geass has done one movie. It's not very good. And then it did a recap movie, and it was good. I feel that doing a sequel movie to something that is clearly a little bit perfect and really, really liked by the community probably isn't a good idea.
Right.
I mean, I can talk to this on the concept of just talking of stuff in general, of like, if something has, a good conclusion, don't continue it. And you see it a lot in like Western shows and whatnot, they basically run them until the point that they're dead. Because that's what they do, because they take something that's popular and they keep milking it because it makes them money. And,
Walking Dead.
And the thing
How
is,
I Met Your Mother, Friends, any Western comedy.
yeah. And the thing is, you always end up with the last few things of that thing
podcast.
being crap by nature, because that's why they stopped making them, because they stopped making money, because the last few stuff has not been well received. So if you have something that has a really satisfying ending, and it neatly ties everything up together, you have a package that is a really nice watch, you should just leave it. Don't go back to it. Stop ruining it.
This is why...
That's why you leave Darker Than Black and Gunslinger Girls after season 1.
No, I agree. And this is the thing, because like Lewis, you are a massive Code Geass fan.
Well, you see, this is why I'm inconspicuously quiet, because the problem is like, this shit is targeted directly at me, because I really like Code Geass, and I really, really like that movie, which is why I'm sat here, like, I stopped watching Akito the Exiled because it made me retroactively dislike the series, if that makes sense. Because,
like, the thing, like, I've heard you say that is not a good movie.
It's terrible. As far as OVAs go, it expanded the lore of the Code Geass world, but like that is the most weak source positive you could ever find about something.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, and like my issue is the fact that Akito the Exile is basically boring, and the thing is, Code Geass kind of exists for me in this sort of nether state of 2007 weebiness, where it's the first anime I watched that genuinely convinced me anime was worth something when I was 16. I've seen it 8 times, not back to back obviously, but I've seen all of season 1 and 2 8 times in both sub and dub, and I feel like anything that's going to tarnish my view of it is not welcome. So I will watch the movies. I am just sat here just going like, please don't be bad. I do want to follow up actually though, because after reading the back of the fucking DVD case, it feels like there's been like a mistranslation or something, because what the back of the DVD case says, it's a 3-part movie series that they're intending, where the movies follow an alternative timeline. It's not a sequel. So I feel that's been
in the same respect that
hang on.
Zero, isn't it?
Lewis, out of interest, during the first
literally,
movie,
hang on, I've got it here.
Just
Go on.
quickly, out of interest, during the first movie, are there any actual differences, or do you think like that? Well, that's the first part.
There are new scenes. but there is
Okay.
nothing different. No.
Okay, excellent. I think they're gonna alter the ending to properly make, and this goes into my point, which is very short. Sorry, Lewis, just before you read the thing.
No, that's alright.
A very short point. I was originally thinking in my head before this went on. Actually, I'm quite looking forward to the movie. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. But the more Hugh said the perfect ending, I'm sat there and I'm like, yeah, but we all knew kind of at that ending. We all knew that this was, and then suddenly my mind clicked and I was like, no, because the whole point was suddenly it was away from that. It was a normal life. There was none of the bullshit that required another
the
movie.
end.
That was the
It
end.
tied itself
That was
together.
it was finished. The grand schemes were over. Everything played out afterwards, whatever. But the players were done. They retired their chess pieces.
You don't need to do anything more.
And thinking about that, looking at it, the only way I can see it, which is why I asked you there, Lewis, did they change anything? Is I think they might change the ending of the second arc.
I really hope they don't.
Yeah. So in the first film, which as I say we watched, it's covered the first 18 episodes of season 1.
It was good.
I will legitimately recommend this as if you've ever thought, oh, I want to watch Code Geass, but
Watch
like
the
don't
movie.
want to watch the whole thing. Watch the fucking movie. I've seen quite a few recap movies. This is the best one by it's good on its own. I would watch this thing just for its own sake. You lose all the fine detail, but of course you do. It's a recap movie, and it's on its own. It's a really fine political story. Then again, I'm biased, but
It's just a good movie. It's just a good movie.
So here's what I think they're actually going to try and do, because the ending of Arc 1 of the ending of R1 is actually really quick. Season 2 drags on in places, particularly Chinese Federation. What I think they're going to do, and Ben, I'm glad you said what you did because it means that someone agrees with me. What I think they're going to do is they've covered 18 episodes in the first season. I think they're going to cover all of the rest of season 1, which is quite easy, and they're going to do season 2 up till 5 episodes before the end, and then they're going to change the ending, and then the third film is going to be them exploring this new ending.
Because as you've said, Lewis, it's not an alternate. It's not a different telling. It's an alternate universe.
It's straight up just yeah.
But then they're in
in saying that, they've secured themselves in. Oh well, if you don't like it, you've still got the original universe that still exists where that happened. So you've still got your little ending that you're so happy with. However, this is just there for those that wanted a little bit more. But that doesn't mean the last one any less happened. Whoa, multiverse theory. As we all sit there and go, fuck off.
I think it's a cop-out.
The thing is, if I'm being honest, it's not being a cock about it. It's at no point they're going wait, this is something I've done before. No, genuinely, no character seems aware of the fact they're a different universe, and it's more Code Geass, and it's one of my comfort series. I just like Code Geass. I just do. It's
good.
really fucking good. I really like it. So more Code Geass is just good for me.
No.
I'm unapologetic. It's my analogy would be as if they released a ReZero movie to summarize, ReZero, and it was really good. And it's does it add anything new? No. If you like ReZero, are you going to like this? Well, yeah, and it's the kind of series that you can actually quite easily put into a movie format. Well, that was nice. I'm happy about this existing. It's just it's something that makes me happy in a way, that 16-year-olds get happy when they think that they're hot shit and they watch something like Code Geass and you're like, wow, this is the most serious adult anime I've ever seen. And you rewatch it and you think, this is fucking amazing for all the different reasons that I thought they were.
It's like you refer to it, anime TM.
Yeah, it is you rewatch it, you're like, oh my god, this is anime TM, and you watch the Euphemia bit, and I'm sat there and just you're watching Euphemia bit, and you're like, this is so dumb. That is the most contrived sequence I've ever.
Contrived. Oh dear.
Is it we lost him?
I think where Lewis is in.
I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen.
Your comment killed him.
Don't worry, I'll take over, boys. I'll take over.
Go on.
Fucking hell, Code Geass is so good. It's like a really good show and a really good movie, and I genuinely think this, and I don't know why I'm taking the piss because I'm like this with my own opinions anyway. God, I'm such a hypocrite. End me now. It's the only way forwards. Just let the release out.
Thanks for watching the Nottaku
Thanks, Lewis.
Podcast, everybody.
Thank you for your opinions.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching the Nottaku Podcast. We do appreciate
Will
you.
never get aired.
There we go.
Right.
Are we seriously using that as the ending?
Hang on a minute.
I don't think
Hang
we
on,
are.
guys.
I think Lewis just returned.
Guys.
Sorry. How much of that was
Lewis,
actually
Lewis,
gone?
Lewis, we're gonna go quiet, and I want you to say sorry, technical difficulties, then continue.
Sorry, technical difficulties. I genuinely don't know where they got up to, but I'm just saying that the Euphemia bit. I don't know, like if we got to the Euphemia bit, but like.
This is the bit you cut out at.
I watched the Euphemia bit, and I'm not even fucking kidding. Like, you know, when I'm fucking like rewatching, I'm like, Christ, that is the most contrived scene I think I've ever fucking seen. And you're sat there like, boy howdy, someone really fucking wrote themselves into a fucking corner. And then, but then, when that was the scene that convinced me anime was worth something. And I don't mean that in a sort of like, you know, like, oh, okay, so, you know, you saw a good film. I mean, like, I watched that scene and I was like, this is not just weeaboo bullshit that my friend convinced me to watch. This has got artistic merit. Someone has made something that made me feel something, that made me realize that this is a medium I want to get involved in. And whenever I see the stream of mediocrity that I think we've accepted these days, that scene, and that's what convinces me this is worth it. It's worth wading through the shit, because every now and then something good happens.
Oh, dear.
The Euphemia scene, that did it.
And on that piece of absolute, genuine excitement and happiness, I think that's a good place to end it, don't you guys?
Yeah, probably.
Unless anybody else has anything else they'd like to talk about.
But fuck it.
Are you sure, Ben? You can make the point.
Fine. It's fine.
Are you sure?
I've said enough. I'm already getting lynched for my opinions after this.
Lewis, is that what I think it is?
I'm already getting lynched after being like, oh shit, this bitch. Oh, he likes Orimo. He said something bad about a silent voice, despite the fact he liked it. And oh, fuck. On top of it all, there's a third point that I forgot, but was gonna make the joke ultimately funny. So fuck me.
Dab on it. Oh dear, Alastair.
I think,
outro us.
Well, thank you for listening, everybody, to our rambling attempts at rambling at a podcast. If
It was more
our
coherent than
four
our
viewers
regular
enjoyed this, please let us know, and we might do it again this way, or
My
just
grandma
stick
will
to
text
topics.
And on that note,
Please join us for our next podcast, where I continue to rail against you and your shitty opinions because you've accepted mediocrity and you're happy about it.
and on that note, go away.
I'm going to jail.
See ya.